Coach, kind of take you back to last month where you talked about you were kind of hesitant to put Shaq in the starting lineup because you didn't want to take that spark off the bench. And here lately, your bench has been pretty productive, whether it's Tyler or McNair or Eric or Sean Jones. Just talk about that boost and starting to have more confidence in that group.
Yeah, never professed to be the smartest guy in the world. In hindsight, maybe we should have done it earlier, but you can't predict the future like that. One thing that I thought was really good is everybody that played Saturday scored. You know, that isn't always the case with us, and we had multiple contributions, 4 guys in double figures, which is a lot for us. And it's the reason we're able to score 70 points, you know, on the road like that. But, you know, a common theme with our team has been different nights, different people, you know, having bigger games or above their average, if you will. And that continues to be somewhat of a trend for us. And we don't necessarily have to rely on one guy, you know, carrying the brunt of our scoring, which is hard to prepare for. It's nice. At the same time, I mean, certainly led to have, you know, a guy or two that, you know, was getting 15 or 20 on most nights to be able to rely on it, but that's not the case with us this year. But, you know, I think it's pretty obvious that a lot of our guys are gaining confidence and feeling good about where they're at, and that certainly helps their play.
We'll stay front row and go to Steph.
Coach, obviously, you know, buzz around here about the game on Wednesday. I think, you know, tickets are close to sold out. I guess how do you kind of balance the, you know, excitement I'm sure your players feel and the emotions of the game with, hey, you know, it's still Kentucky on the other side and still have a game to prepare for?
You know, like I've said earlier, I'm not worried about that. These kids have proven to me that they're working, they get it, they understand that that's going to be there Wednesday night. And we need to do what we need to do leading up to the game to make sure we're mentally and physically prepared. And I've had questions like that earlier in the season about different games, and I've always felt like they've been businesslike in their approach and understanding the importance of the preparation and the film and on the floor. And, you know, that's just a positive, you know, to know you know, we're going to have an electric crowd, and our kids obviously will know that. And, you know, to me, it just makes more sense to really lock in even more to make sure we're ready to go.
Go second row to John.
Chris, how kind of rewarding has it been for you to see these guys? Because all you've been talking about is how hard they work, you know, behind the scenes. How rewarding has it been for you to see them kind of, you know, start to see that hard work pay off and this 5-game win streak and, you know, get a lot of that national spotlight as well?
Yeah, it feels good. I think every coach in America would tell you that that's one of the most rewarding things is when your team continues to work, even when things aren't going your way, and they have the right mental approach every single day. And I've complimented this group numerous times throughout the year of their approach. And it's I don't know if satisfying is the right word, but definitely has a feel-good part of it. And I think the guys feel good. I don't know if I said this in media or not because we didn't have post-game. We just had the radio. And, you know, I told them that leading up to the game, which is really not the norm for me 3-4 hours before a game to tell the team how good I felt about where we were at. And you could feel the energy in the room kind of uplift a little bit. And I said, who knows what the outcome of tonight's going to be, but I feel really good about where you're at and how the group has come together and the vibe that we have. And, you know, it felt like because of the work, et cetera, you deserve to win it. Now, will you? Who knows how the game will unfold? And that was a constant theme throughout the majority of our timeouts. That was kind of our rallying cry, is that to believe in the confidence that we have in each other. And we felt like we were the better team. And it's easy to say that, but you got to get it on the court. And that was a constant reminder in the majority of our timeouts.
Back to Paul.
I know you've talked often about you want to see Rams and Shaq shoot more, and you tell them all the time to shoot more. And there's been games we've seen even here lately where you can, I don't know if it's obvious to you, I'm sure it is, but you can almost tell from the get-go if Rams is going to look to score or he's going to look to dish more. Obviously, you saw Saturday, he had that scoring mentality early on. Is it something that just clicks with him, or is it just a matter of the flow of the game for him? Because like you said, I know you talk to him often about getting more involved.
You know, I use this a lot with my staff. You know, it's not a video game. You know, you can't joystick the game as much as we'd like to sometimes, and we're not inside their head. We try to influence them to receive positive outcomes individually and collectively. But I couldn't tell you, you know, that'd be a question for Rams, but I know we're best when he's aggressive, and it doesn't have necessarily to beat a score, just to get in the paint, you know, because he does it his way. It's a combination of athleticism and strength and determination, experience. And when he gets in there, especially the last few games, it's usually a good thing for us. There were early in the season, he was going in there and jumping up in the air trying to find someone to pass to. And, you know, the old school thought is, you know, don't jump to make a pass, right? Well, I'm not a believer in that. What I tell our guys all the time is, hey, the reality of it is if jumping is required to make the pass, then you got to do it because of angles, spacing, etc. But you got to stay away from jumping in the lane, especially, and trying to find someone to pass to. At that point, if you're not sure, just stay with your pivot. You know, you got plenty of time. Someone will eventually come open. And Rams, that's the one thing for us that we've been paying a lot of attention to is how much better he's got at that part of his game, is coming in there, and he's really good at finding people at the last minute and just throwing a 2, 3, 4 foot pass to a rim runner or a cutter. And it's improved his game. It's improved his game. And, you know, he had 17 against Arkansas, and he didn't get to play a lot of the first half because of having 2 fouls. And we debated whether putting him back in the game, but obviously the score was in our favor, and we felt like there was no reason to risk that if we continue to have a lead.
We'll stay front row with Steph and then Danny P.
You know, we talked about, you know, how good the team's feeling right now. You know, can you take us through that locker room celebration, kind of what your decision was with the dance moves and how you rate yourself?
Oh, gosh, it's become part of the job, I guess. Obviously, I'm lacking in that area in a big way. I need to get some guys to give me a lesson or two. I'm sure my wife would love for me to say, hey, let's go take some dancing lessons. I definitely need them. But, you know, I think our kids celebrate appropriately, to be honest. You know, it's not every game we win. It's like that. But certainly that was a significant road win for this team. And our coach's locker room was adjacent to theirs. So, you know, to be able to sit in there with the coaches for a while and listen to them before we go in there, it's rewarding, to use John's word. It's rewarding. It's fun. You work so hard. I think you need to celebrate like that with your team because of what goes into playing a 40-minute game. And I talk to our players individually at times, and I'm like, you know, most people, unless you're involved with it, have no idea what it takes to go through the process of getting to the point where the ball is tipped. And our kids continue to get better at it, continue to understand the importance of it. But one of my best friends, who's not in coaching anymore, has told me that it's cringeworthy for him at times to watch, you know, me in there, which that wasn't a lot of fun to hear, but it is what it is.
Coach, you talk about the energy uplift during the game. How much Eric's three? I know it was a big emotional time for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, they actually, you know, played the numbers, and they decided that particular possession they were going to trap right off Eric, which they do some of that, and usually it's off the other team's four-man. But and I get why they did it. You know, makes perfect sense. And you know, Eric found himself wide open. I don't think anyone was within 10 or 15 feet of him when he caught the ball. And, was just happy for him, proud of him. It was a huge shot for us. The whole bench probably has a bigger reaction to that particular shot, which says a lot about who he is, who this team is becoming. And just obviously going forward, nobody has, lost confidence in him. Certainly as an individual, it's hard not to, but, hopefully that will buoy him, going forward and give him some more confidence.
Go to John to wrap it up.
What are your thoughts on kind of Kentucky, kind of, up and down year for them so far? So what stands out to you about that team and your thoughts on Coach Cal? I don't know the extent of your relationship with him.
I mean, it's Kentucky. Certainly everyone in college basketball understands what that means in terms of, their program and their success. And I know they're going to be super hungry. I know they're going to be coming in here with the attitude of it's a must-win. They've got to have it. And that'll be talked about plenty in our locker room. I know Coach, a little bit. Don't know him all that well. I know his staff, most of them pretty well. I actually worked with one of their staff members at Wichita State for a year. So, I'll look forward to see him, until the ball's tipped. But, it's just these games, obviously, they're so used to it. It brings out the best in the opposing crowds. I'm sure, like I said, they're used to it. They've, especially even the new players, now that they've gone through, the majority of a season. I mean, it won't faze them walking into, a sold-out arena.